back in action. Due to an engine shortage, Smudger had to be rebuilt. He was a generator for a shed, but there was high demand for slate from the quarry, so all engines had to be working there. To do the shorter jobs, Smudger was brought back. That morning, Peter, Sam, and Duke were having a conversation in the shed, and then Smudger puffed in.
He had caused confusion and delay in his old railway and had a bad reputation. "Have you come to cause more trouble here?" asked Duke. Peter Sam was surprised. "Smudger, I thought you were turned into a generator. Why are you here then?" "Well, I was a generator. Then I was a pumping engine for a mine. And now I'm back in action, ready to be really useful." Duke just laughed. "You? Useful? I'd never think I'd live to see the day." Smudger was offended. "Now you listen here," he said sternly. "I was troublesome, but now I want to be really useful." "Oh, I'm sure you will be," said Duke sarcastically. Then Mr. Percival rode up on his bike. He was there to get the jobs for the day. "Good morning, everyone," said Mr. Percival. "Good morning, Smudger. Since it's your first day, I can't trust you with passengers yet, so I will give you a simple job. There will be lots of visitors at Ulfstead Castle today, so you are to deliver refreshments there." "Yes, sir," he said excitedly. This was his first job in many years. He puffed off to go get the trucks. "I bet you he'll crash before the end of the day," said Duke. Smudger had heard the comment and was quite offended. He started to become self-conscious of every bump and move he made. He was worried that he would crash. Not long after, he made it to the station where the refreshment trucks were. Smudger gently backed up into the refreshment cars, and off he went. Smudger backed up to the points that would lead him to Ulfstead Castle. His driver switched the points, and off he went. He had to go through the wharf to get to Ulfstead Castle. He had to go slow because trucks would be in the way and he can crash easily. Smudger was still self-conscious of every bump he made. He was worried that he could fall off the track at any moment. He was worried of being turned back into a generator. On his way to the hill, a workman flagged him down and made him stop. "It's too dangerous to go up with that many cars," said the workman. "I'd suggest taking only 2 at a time." "All right," said Smudger. Then he had an idea. "If I take all of these cars at the same time, then I could be really useful and then prove Duke wrong," he thought to himself. The workman had walked away and didn't see Smudger going up with all the cars at once. Everything was going fine until he reached the first slope. "Oh goodness," he thought to himself, "this is hard work." He was determined to prove Duke wrong. Wheel turn by wheel turn, he eventually made it to the top. "Yes, I've made it," until he looked and noticed there was a bigger slope up ahead. He said. He started to go up. Everything was going fine until the coaches started to drag on him. "Goodness," he said, "this is hard work. I don't think I can do it." And then he had another idea. "What if I try pushing them up? That might make it easier," he said to himself. And he started to go down the hill. He eventually made it back to the bottom and put the coaches off to the side, uncoupled from them, and backed up and coupled into the other side of it. And then he started to push them up the hill. Smudger found it much easier to push them up. The only thing was that he couldn't see what was in front of him. He made up the first one just fine, but when he got to the second slope, it was much harder. His wheels started slipping, and the coaches rocked. "Come on," he said to himself.
Up the line, Millie was taking up some trucks from the wharf. Then there was trouble. The coupling snapped. "Oh no!" she screamed as the trucks flew down the hill. Smudger didn't notice because he was too busy. Then there was trouble. The truck smashed into the back of him and sent him tumbling down the hill at a very high speed. He tried to apply his brakes, but it was no use. The trucks were too heavy for him. He tumbled to the bottom and went around a bend. Freddy was waiting at the bottom for his trip up. Then he saw Smudger. "Oh my goodness!" cried Freddy. A quick-thinking workman switched Smudger onto the next line, going through the wharf. Smudger was flying through the wharf at a very high speed. He couldn't stop now. He was going so fast. He went around the bend, and it all happened at once. Smudger looked back and saw that his trucks were off the rails. He was a mess. "Oh no," he said to himself quietly. "Duke was right. I am a messed up engine. I couldn't even handle a simple short train up a hill." Smudger didn't know that it was Millie's train that caused him to derail. Shortly after, Millie puffed up. "Smudger, are you all right?" she said. "No, I'm not okay," said Smudger. "I am bound to be turned back into a generator for sure." "But it wasn't your fault," said Millie. "My train's coupling snapped. The couplings were old and rusty. It was no one's fault. It was an accident." Smudger looked back and smiled. "It wasn't my fault?" he asked. Smudger was so happy, he didn't know what to do. He was so relieved that he wasn't going to be turned into a generator again. Millie puffed away to go get the breakdown train. Later that day, Millie pushed Smudger back to the sheds. No one was there because they had a big job at the quarry the next day and were sleeping there. After that, Millie uncoupled from Smudger and went back home to Ulfstead Castle. Smudger was happy to have the entire shed to himself. He was especially happy that Duke wasn't there to tease him, but I think he's happy to be back, don't you?